Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Journey to Greatness, day 203 of 365 with David McDonald, the GOAT. Happy Sunday. I know it's so early, huh? Sweet. All right, my friends. I will see you on the other side. We're going to get into our meditation routine. We'll see you on the other side. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Alrighty, welcome back. And good morning to everybody who's joined us. Good morning, good morning. Okay, so we just finished our meditation routine, and now we're getting into our reading routine. And I'm currently reading A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. So I will see you guys on the other side. Beautiful. We got some good stuff today. Okay, so again, congratulations to everybody who made it through their first journal. I got my new journal right here. I usually get this kind of stuff at half price books. So I buy my books at half price books, and I buy my journals at half price books. They're usually the best pricing there, in my opinion. And so, yeah, I like it a lot. So, $181. In my journal, I usually like to write about the things that I'm most thankful for or grateful for. And in the morning, that's waking up and being in exceptional health. Then I go and I reflect on yesterday's activities. So anything that I may have experienced, I show my gratitude and respect to it by mentioning it in my journal. Anything I wish to manifest or I goal or I plan to achieve today and tomorrow and so on and so forth, then I put that down in my journal also. If there's something that I am goaling for or aspiring to achieve, I put that down on paper. If there's ideas I have in my mind in terms of starting a business or being a better person, whatever it may be for you, things that you have to work through, things that upset you, you put that down on paper. You get the ideas out of your mind. Then constructively, you create a plan for yourself to to achieve and grow and be better. So with that being said, if you have any questions regarding that, let me know. And otherwise, I'll see you on the other side. All right. How wonderful. How cool is this journal? It only costs $5. Half price books. Okay, so we just finished our journaling routine. And now we're going to jump into our book. Eckhart Tolle made some good points today. Morning, Liz. All right. So, yesterday we were talking about transcending, getting into higher consciousness. Religions, independent religions versus independent religion, which is individual awareness of consciousness versus streamlined religion, which is a collective, collaborative of societal consciousness, and those two things kind of coming together and or being separate entities and living our lives either per a physical experience or a spiritual experience. So today, Eckhart Tolle says that the ego is destined to dissolve, and all its ossified structures, whether they be religious or other institutions, corporations or governments, will disintegrate from within, no matter how deeply entrenched they appear to be. So what that means to me is that ego can only survive for so long, because we as people are so magnificent and we are so awesome and we have the power of God within us. We transcend and we evolve. So for us to think that our reality or our world will stay the same over like forever is crazy. Now, or excuse me, is interesting. We may recreate a cycle, but that cycle is going to look a lot different than what we're experiencing today. And I think that's very, very important to remember. Not all is lost ever, because people are so amazing. We are blessed with the power of God and the almighty universe. And with that, we are able to wield and create realities for ourselves. And there's enough people out there who are aware and know the power that lives within. And they've come, and more now today, more and more people are starting to come into their understanding of consciousness. And the more awakened the greater population becomes, the higher our likelihood to create a better world for everyone that's more sustainable and is foundationally based around love, which is very hopeful. When faced with a radical crisis, the author talks about the urgency of transformation. When the old way of beginning in the world, of interacting with each other and with the realm of nature doesn't work anymore, when survival is threatened by seemingly unsurmountable problems, an individual life form or species will either die or become extinct or rise above the limitations of its condition through the evolutionary leap. That's the beautiful thing about people. And that's why I say it doesn't matter what happens. If everything was taken away from us and we went back to ground A, which is like, cavemen style, where we're living in caves and we have tribes and stuff like that. And we're hunting with bow and arrow, and we're fishing with stakes and spears. That doesn't concern me to any capacity, because at the end of the day, as people, I think we'll figure it out. And then the author goes into, excuse me, the author goes into, how life forms recreate and they evolve. So you had, at one point in time, all animals and life forms started in the sea. And then eventually the sea, these sea animals started to find their way on land. And when the sea animals found their way on land, they got on land, they started trying to move around, and they were like, oh man, this is too hard. I'm going to go back to what I know. Boom. So they jump back into the sea. And then over time, they go back out and they do it again. They get a little bit further and then they go back into the sea. And then over time, they're like, okay, I'm going to go again. So they go back out and they go even a little bit further. And then eventually what happens as that process happens over and over, they go from having fins to having feet, or, having feet. And so, their accessibility and mobility on land is now transformed. They go from having gills to having lungs. And so they evolve over time, right? And that may be due to, conditions of the sea that push them out to, start to go search for land or go search for another living environment. And that's how, in theory, the entire human race has evolved over time. We change, when things happen around us, we create things, or, we evolve, we evolve, and it's amazing. So the book says that the dysfunction of the egoic human mind, recognized more than 2,500 years ago by the ancient wisdom teachers and now magnified through science and technology, is for the first time threatening the survival of the planet. Until very recently, the transformation of human consciousness, also pointed to by ancient teachers, was no more than a possibility realized by a few rare individuals and their irrespective of cultural and religious background. So, in other words, consciousness and higher consciousness becomes more and more prevalent as it's more and more needed. So more people come into their consciousness, because the greater society is essentially forcing us to, because we're evolving from it. What is arising is not a new belief system, a new religion, spiritual ideology, or mythology. We are coming to the end of mythologies, but also of ideologies and belief systems. The changes go deeper than the content of your mind, deeper than your thoughts. In fact, at the heart of the new consciousness lies the transcendence of thought, the newfound ability of rising above thought, of realizing a dimension within yourself that is infinitely more vast. Check this out. Listen to this intently, you guys. More vast than thought. Okay. We talked about this. You live during one of our other discussions at some point. There's two different ways you can live. You can live on Earth, or you can live in an imaginary space. Either your thoughts are going to dictate what your reality is, and your thoughts are based off of your experiences, but you're limiting yourself if you allow yourself to live from a physical place, from a physical foundation, because your senses tell you what you see is what you see. Your imagination allows you to travel anywhere in the universe. And because the universe is so vast, the thought of one thing, it's just the tip of the iceberg. The thought of one thing is the surface, and it goes on and on and on and on and on. It gets bigger and deeper as you go deeper into the thought or the idea of possibility. And we've talked about that multiple times. That's why it's never really smart to put yourself in the corner in terms of thought when it comes to projecting an outcome for yourself. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen, but you can tell yourself and choose the direction of what you can choose the direction of where you want to go and what you want the result to be. And then the universe collectively, in its vastness and how big it is, will put opportunities, will put ideas, will put experiences, will give you things that you cannot think about. You have no capacity to think about what potentially you could be blessed with. And that's what this thing, that's what this sentence just said. Let me read it again. The change goes deeper than the content of your mind, deeper than your thoughts. In fact, at the heart of new consciousness lies the transcendence, so going above thought, the newfound ability of rising above thought, of realizing a new dimension within yourself that is infinitely more vast than thought. Thought is limiting, your imagination is limitless. So to live from imaginatory, oh, you're not being realistic. You're freaking right, I'm not being realistic. You know why? Because realistic in your book means that it's controlled by what our physical is saying. And that's a totally different, some people aren't ready for that. Ego is no more than this identification with form, which primarily means thought forms. If evil has any reality, and it has a relative, not an absolute reality, this is also its definition. Complete identification with form, physical form, thought form, emotional forms. This results in a total unawareness of my connectedness with the whole, my intrinsic oneness with every other, as well as with the source. This forgetfulness is original sin, suffering, delusion. When this delusion of utter separateness underlies and governs whatever I think and do, what kind of world do I create? Powerful. Hope you guys are hearing this. This is awesome. To find the answer to this, observe how humans relate to each other. Read a history book or watch the news on television tonight. So, to live a life that sucks is a sin. Pretty much. To live a life that's not fun and that's miserable and that, sucks all the time, that is a sinful life to live, is what this book is suggesting. And it's no more than ego. You're identifying with the thought. You're identifying with your physical reality. But when you live in a spiritual reality, money don't mean nothing to you. And when I say that, I mean respectfully. Money doesn't mean anything to you. If money was taken away from you, it wouldn't matter. You know why? Because at the end of the day, you love yourself unconditionally. And not only that, you love the people around you unconditionally. And in return, respectfully, they love you unconditionally. So we're not living a physical experience. And we understand what the temptations of the physical look like. And so the more and more aware we become of our, physical and our spiritual well-beings, the more and more we can dictate the way and which direction we move. And I think that's really important. A new heaven and a new earth. Next section of this chapter. It occurs in both the Old and New Testament and speaks of the collapse of the existing world order and the arising of a new heaven and a new earth. We need to understand here that heaven is not a location, but refers to the inner realm of consciousness. This is the esoteric meaning of the word, and this is also its meaning in the teachings of Jesus. Earth, on the other hand, is the outer manifestation in form, which is always a reflection of the inner. So, collective human consciousness and life on our planet are intrinsically connected. A new heaven is the emergence of a transformed state of human consciousness, and a new earth is its reflection in the physical realm. Since human life and human consciousness are intrinsically one with the life of the planet, As the old consciousness dissolves, there are bound to be synchronistic, geographic, and climatic natural upheavals in many parts of the planet, some of which we are already witnessing now. So heaven is within. Your body is your temple, which is the whole reason why we started dieting in the first place. Is not because we want to lose weight necessarily. It's because we're on a mission to create entire wholeness. So this book says it exactly how I've been trying to describe it. Oh, that just reminded me of something. But entire wholeness, entire oneness with self. We're already digging deep inside and, repairing and building and getting stronger and stronger, coming into our awareness even harder every day. But to be one with self, and one with the earth, through the meditation and through the eating and really just being one and whole is the goal for me anyway. And like he just said, if you have hell in your soul, then you're going to have hell in reality. If you have heaven inside of you, that's what's going to project outside of you. But the cool thing is, another way to look at this is look at our society, look at the world around us. That is our reality is a direct reflection of the collective consciousness, heaven inside or hell inside. And so that's why we're getting what we're getting. And so tying this all back into the beginning part of the chapter or the book, Eckhart's saying that the reason why dictators can't get away for too long is because the ego and the consciousness that each individual person has deep down within them cannot be touched. And so therefore systems, communistic systems, socialism systems, democratic, whatever it may be, can only last for so long. People can only be deprived for so long before they have a uproar, and they fight back, and they naturally evolve, right? Ego, the current state of humanity. Now, this is a powerful statement also, and we're getting ready to wrap up. This is the last point. Words, no matter whether they are vocalized and made into sounds or remained unspoken as thoughts, can cast an almost hypnotic spell upon you. You easily lose yourself in them, become hypnotized into implicitly believing that when you have attached a word to something, you know what it is. The fact is, you don't know what it is. You have only covered up the mystery with a label. Everything, a bird, a tree, even a simple stone, and certainly a human being, is ultimately unknowable. Powerful. So that moment when you yell at your significant other because you're like, oh, you didn't answer your phone. You don't know where that person is. You don't know what they're doing. For you to say that is crazy. It is ridiculous. You have to give people the benefit of the doubt. You have to give people the benefit of the doubt. If we don't, let me read this again. Words, no matter whether you vocalize them words, no matter whether they are vocalized and made into sounds or remain unspoken as thoughts, can cast an almost hypnotic spell upon you. You easily lose yourself in them, become hypnotized into implicitly believing that when you have attached a word to something, you know what it is. The fact is, you don't know what it is. You have only covered up a mystery with the label. What is that mystery? What is this thing that we're covering up? Everything, a bird, a tree, even a simple stone, and certainly a human being is ultimately unknowable. We don't know what's really going on. This is because it has unfathomable depth. So if anything, just show respect. You're just like, hey, I don't know what you're going through. I don't know what you're doing right now, but you're not answering my phone calls. To go back to that example, You're not answering my phone calls. It could be anything. So for us to even waste our time trying to figure it out, let it go. Let it go and push on. And when the person's ready to call you back, they'll call you back. And that's just an example, right? But that was the first thing that came to my mind. Because a lot of the time, people assume, and I see it a lot. It's like, oh, you didn't get back to me. Oh, I didn't hear from you. Or, this, that, and the other. And then their mind goes into this whirlwind of spin thought and all this other stuff, rather than a thought of, okay, well, let me sit and be patient, or let me continue to move on and get proactive. And it's an interesting undertone. Underneath the surface appearance, everything is not only connected with everything else, but also with the source of all life, which it became. So that's a thought. That's just a thought, right? That's a thought. Oh, that person didn't answer the phones, whatever. We're talking about something even deeper here. That's just an example, just to understand the concept. But it gets deeper and deeper and deeper when we start talking about life, understanding consciousness, both collectively and self. So, even a stone, and more easily a flower or a bird, could show you the way back to God, to the source, to yourself. When you look at or hold it and let it be without imposing a word or mental label on it, a sense of awe, of wonder arises within you. Its essence silently communicates itself to you and reflects your own essence back to you. This is what great artists sense and succeed in conveying in their art. So, the flower. To look at the flower, to pick up the flower, to feel the flower, to recognize that the flower is there is a powerful thing. Pick up the flower. Don't label the flower. It's not beautiful. It's not ugly. It doesn't stink. It doesn't smell good. Look at the flower. Observe the flower in your hand. Let the flower speak to you. How beautiful is this nature? It starts as a seed, and then it grows into something. It starts as a seed, and then it grows into something. No descriptions, no words to attach to it, and just feel the energy from the flower. And I think that type of awareness is really important, because then that type of awareness, just acknowledging the trees, right? Acknowledging the trees, acknowledging the flowers that are outside blooming, acknowledging, the clouds, acknowledging air, wind, acknowledging rain. You know why I like the Northwest so much? I don't care. I don't care that it rains so much. I don't get depressed. None of that stuff happens to me. But the reason why I learned how to use an umbrella my senior year in college. I didn't know what an umbrella. I knew what an umbrella was. I didn't use an umbrella ever. So growing up, I used to wear some nice, shoes. Not nice as in expensive, but just like nice, stuff that I bought for myself. And like clothes, and like they always look kind of fashionable. At least I thought I was. And there would be times where I would hate the rain. I did not like the rain. And guess why? Because my clothes would get ruined. I would show up all wet, and it wasn't fun at all. But at no point in my mind, for some reason, did I ever think to myself, oh, Dave, why don't you go buy an umbrella? It always rains. Pause. It doesn't always rain, but it rains a large amount of the time of the year here in Seattle. But growing up, I never ever bought an umbrella. And one day, I broke loose. I was walking on campus at Western, and I was walking across, and I had like some really, really cool clothes on that I liked a lot. It was a really nice outfit, right? And I'm walking across campus, and it started pouring. I mean, cats and dogs were hitting me in the head. Like, it was pouring. And I got to my class. Like, I got to a point where I started jogging a little bit, and I was like, man, forget this. I was like, just let it be. And I just walked to class. I was literally like, I could go like this, and water was just coming out all of my clothes. And it was at that moment where I realized, I was like, man, rain really isn't that bad. And all this other stuff doesn't really matter that much. And what I mean by that is not that I live a life of, material, material attachment. That's not from that standpoint, but it was just like how beautiful is all this, and we run to get out of it, kind of thing. And then I realized I should buy an umbrella. Then I took geography, which is my last GUR, General University requirement that I needed to graduate that summer of 2012. And I took geography, and it shows that the reason why we have so much rain, and I'm going to get to my point here in a second. The reason why we have so much rain is because we have double overcast, essentially. So when the winds bounce off or the clouds, the oceanic currents come in, and these weather patterns, they bounce off the Cascades. We get like one overcloud, and then like as another, we get one overcast, and as a second overcast comes through, it rains. So we get a lot of light rain, and then sometimes we get heavy rain. Then it all stops and decimates. So like it's a constant, like pretty much whirlwind that we're in. And on the geographical map, Seattle's the only place that has this steady like bloom, or this steady blue spot, like always over it. So we always will get rain, always, because of the way our geography is set up. And I think that's absolutely amazing. And when I learned that, and then I learned to just be, and then I learned to buy an umbrella, I was like, wow, like I really like this state. Like, yeah, outside it gets a little wet, but that's beautiful, and I think that type of appreciation, there really are no words to explain it, because it's like, wow, like we get rain, and that's awesome. Like we can drink out of our tap, and not get sick. Like you can't go to states like Nevada necessarily and drink out directly out of your tap. You can't do that. You got to buy bottled water, or you live on bottled water. Like, who wants to make soup with bottled water? Sorry. Okay. Because I don't know who's from Vegas here, or from Nevada. But my point here is the appreciation for natural life form and natural earth it's an amazing one to come into. So with that being said, the source of all life and the appreciation, I think, just allows us to live a more conscious life, down to the root of everything that happens around us. And with that, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. Day 203 of 365 with David McDonald, the GOAT. And we're coming up on 7 months. It's coming up fast. What is that? 7 and 4 is 280, right? 7 and 4 is 280. Oh, 7 and 3 is 21. So we're coming up on that, and that's exciting. And I just look forward to finishing out the year here. So happy Sunday to everybody out there. Hope you have the best day of your life. Thank you for joining me again, and I'll see you tomorrow at 5 a.m. Peace.